All right, everybody. Good afternoon. Hope you're doing well on this Tuesday. Obviously, Tuesday often comes in as the most boring day of the week for football stuff. There's almost never a game and there's almost never practice, so you don't get the injury report. You just wait for the day to be over and then you move along. But we do got more stuff to talk about, and I want to talk about something from a few days ago. This is, I think, 4 days ago on ESPN. I missed it when it first came out. I saw it, I think, late Saturday, and then it was kind of too late. I don't want to try to talk about this stuff right before the Seahawks play a game anyway. So I sat on it, waited, and it's not like this is going anywhere really, but let's talk about it now. Let's talk about a little something that Brady Henderson dropped in an article for ESPN talking about upcoming offseason needs for each team and some of the stuff that he said concerning Coby Bryant, an upcoming Seattle Seahawk free agent. All right, guys, let's take a minute so I can tell you about Sleeper, a one-stop shop for all your sports needs. You can celebrate and chat on sports games in real time with other users. You can get the fastest scores, blazing fast sports news and sports alerts right at your fingertips. And of course, you can use Sleeper to play in fantasy leagues and win real money on picks contests. This is the way sports were meant to be enjoyed together. So download Sleeper today. Use promo code SBN to get up to a $100 match on your first deposit. And you can pair that with another promo they have right now where you can get a $20 entry free with no deposit required. So get both of those things going. Terms and conditions apply. See Sleeper's terms of use for details. Currently operational in over 25 states and growing. So check out Sleeper today. Get to it and go have some fun with sports this year. All right, so this article pertains to all 32 NFL teams, but the paragraph written from Brady Henderson specifically caught my attention for pretty obvious reasons. But he writes about Coby Bryant, a different situation than Seattle's other 2022 draftees who are in the final year of their rookie deals. Talks about Woolen, talks about Walker, talks about Mafe. Doesn't feel like any of those guys are in Seattle's long-term plans, but Coby, he thinks it's a little different. And in fact, according to him, Seattle attempted to give a contract extension to Coby Bryant before the season, but they couldn't get to an actual agreement. And he does think they're going to try again before free agency. So we tried to keep him, couldn't make it happen, and he believes that there is an interest on the part of this team of keeping him in Seattle beyond 2025. So definitely interesting. Coby Bryant, obviously, if you were to place all the upcoming free agents on Seattle on a list and you ranked them by how good the player is and how important the player is, there would definitely be some players that Coby is behind. He's behind JSN. He's behind Charles Cross. He's probably, although this year has been a little bit of a bumpy ride here, behind Reek Woolen. Probably behind K9. But for reasons that I do think make sense very clearly, there is some degree of interest in keeping Coby in Seattle and maybe not all of those guys. Well, JSN, of course, Cross, of course, Witherspoon, of course, but seems like he's probably going to be more likely to stick here than Woolen. Feels like he's more likely to stick here than Walker. And that's simply because you can probably get him for a much more reasonable rate. And you can also feel a little bit more comfortable with what you're going to get out of him. And the Coby thing is a little bit tricky. Because, first of all, he was a 4th-round pick, so day 3, not some blue chip prospect, not some former 1st-round pick that's a blue blood, and he's just kind of guaranteed to be a coveted guy because of his talent. No, this was a day 3 guy who some people liked in the draft, some people didn't, and it really felt like it could have gone either way. So, beyond that, the first year Coby Bryant in the NFL, he's the nickel corner. He's okay. Coverage, not so great, but he was forcing a lot of fumbles. He was, I think, tied for league lead in fumbles. Playmaker, always getting around the ball. There was some good stuff with Coby Bryant as a rookie. Second year, He barely plays on defense. He's basically a backup the whole season almost. Very little action in 2023. 2024, he starts the season as a backup. He's not playing that much. And then after 5 or 6 games, I think, injuries happen. He has to start at safety. And it's like, wow, he found his calling in life. His calling in life is to play safety in the NFL. And he was making picks. He was doing good stuff in coverage. Still able to force fumbles in a way that a lot of players like him don't, with a peanut punch. So it was like, okay, now we've got a good player here, and he's come back in 2025, kind of a prove it thing, although apparently we were willing to pay him before this year, and he's been good again. He's not one of the best safeties in the league, but he's been good. And he's entering his physical prime. He's going to turn 27 in the offseason. But what is a player like this worth? And safeties are tough. If you go to Spotrac right now and you sort by average annual salary of safeties that got signed last offseason, like, obviously he's not Kyle Hamilton. Obviously he's not Kirby Joseph. He's not Trevon Moehrig, or I'm sorry, I probably mispronounced that. He's not Javon Holland or Cam Bynum. But pretty quickly it's like, well, maybe? Like Amani Hooker, relatively high-profile player, but I certainly wouldn't call him a superstar or even really a star in this league. And since he got to Tennessee, he's been kind of not good, or since he signed this contract. I don't know if that's necessarily a condemnation of him, but I don't consider him to be some superstar. Jalen Petre, more of a slot corner, honestly, but Hufanga, coming off a big injury, kind of a, not really a prove it deal, but he did kind of have to prove that he could still play football. $13 million a year. Josh Metellus, the Minnesota guy, $12 million a year. Justin Reed, like, it feels like we might be there. Like, I know Coby Bryant's not a great safety, but he's a good safety. He's entering his prime. He's been effective in other roles previously. I know he's pulled down a little bit because for a year and a half of his career so far, he has basically been a pure backup. But I don't know how much that's going to bring him down when, if we get to this offseason and he's got a season and 2/3 of quality safety play, if that's really going to be held against him. So you get down to like guys like Jeremy Chin, Eric Murray, Deshaun Elliott. You've clearly gone too far. But what does that mean? Are you landing on something like a $10 million a year deal for Coby? Could you get lucky with a little discount and maybe it's like $9 million, 3 years, 27? This one's really hard. It's really hard to pinpoint these. Like, obviously, he's going to get more than a guy like a Jeremy Chin or an Eric Murray. Does he get as much as Amani Hooker? I don't think so. Even a guy like Hufanga, who was coming, or Hufanga, excuse me, yes, coming off a major injury, but he had reached levels of play beyond what Coby had ever shown. But is 10 million reasonable? Is it going to be like 3 years, 30? Could it even surprise us a little bit and it's like 3 years, 33? Maybe. And at that point, you're getting kind of to the point where you could spend that money on a Ken Walker extension and you kind of have to weigh that out. So maybe you're not really saving money compared to extending a guy like K9. Obviously, you're saving money compared to a guy like Woolen, who's going to cost double or more what Coby is going to cost, but it's a comparison. So it's really kind of hard to put your finger on this one. With some of these other players, it's easy. Like JSN is going to set the market. We know that. Witherspoon is either going to set the market or come very, very close. Cross, probably not quite setting the market, but very, very close to the top. You got guys, and then you got the other extreme, right? You want to bring back Derek Young, veteran minimum. You want to bring back Jake Bobo, veteran minimum. But these guys in the middle, and some of the guys in the middle, it seems a little bit more clear. Like, to me, Walker is very clearly like a $10 million a year guy, maybe as much as 12. But Coby, little all over the place here. I could see as low as 8 million a year, I guess. But I'm really thinking somewhere between 9 and 12 is probably the right number. So, what do you think? Seems like we're interested. Seems like we want to do it. According to Brady Henderson, we tried. And by the way, the fact that it didn't happen because the sides were too far apart, that does kind of indicate that Coby, he wants his money. He's not going to make this a cakewalk. He's going to try to get paid as much as he can, which I think most players are like that, so it's not surprising, and there's nothing wrong with it. I got no beef with it, but Coby Bryant, based on the fact that he didn't get an extension last offseason, I don't think he's going to take like a 2-year, $10 million deal and just be like, I don't care. I want to stay in Seattle. No, he's trying to get paid. This might be the only big NFL contract he ever gets, so it's the correct thing to do. But don't expect this to be just something where he rolls over and says, I don't care what about money, just let me stay in Seattle. I think he'd happily stay in Seattle because we're building something pretty cool here. But I also don't think that he's going to be willing to do it for cheap. And it's a decision because he's not a hyper elite safety, right? He's not Kyle Hamilton. And obviously he's not going to get asked to get paid like that. The point is, though, you have to look at Coby Bryant and say, that is somebody we can replace if we need to. We can scout, we can search free agency, we can find a guy who can give us a decent chunk at least of what Coby gives us. But, hey, doesn't mean you don't keep him around. So what would you guys do? Let me know down below. See you guys soon. Go Hawks. Going to have at least one more video later today. I think I'm going to be streaming on YouTube later today as well. Not going to be a sports stream, though. Not going to be a video game stream either. It's going to be something a little different. So keep an eye out for that. I haven't decided if I'm going to do it today yet, but I think I am. So see you guys later. Hope to see you there. Go Hawks.